Good morning. My name is Eric from Spark. Oh, wait a minute. Eric, left your notes that you don't use up here. Before I start, I'm going to deviate from prepared marks for a moment as well and just say, in the experiences that I've had at Penn in the last 20 years, Spark may be the emblematic Philadelphia life sciences story. And just the way that everything rolled out from basic research in a lab between CHOP and Penn that advanced over 20 years to FDA approvals with entrepreneurship and venture capital, incorporation, going public, and the whole thing stays in West Philadelphia after it's been acquired. It's truly a remarkable story in service to society. Well done. So, good morning. My name is Tony Sorrentino. I'm an Associate Vice President at the University of Pennsylvania. I work in the Office of the Executive Vice President, which is kind of the COO of the university, when all things economic development kind of roll up in through there. And so it's my pleasure to be with this panel this morning. We're going to be talking about commercial opportunities for life sciences in Philadelphia. And we have four leading experts with us today who are going to talk about a range of topics that lead up to commercial opportunities. Little you've heard already: talent, facilities, venture capital. But really what this comes down to is, what is the opportunity for Philadelphia now as we continue to grow and play a bigger role globally in the life sciences? Because our city's at an inflection point. I think we all have been paying attention to this. For the last 8 years, Philadelphia has led the nation in cell and gene therapy research funding. Much of this is driven by that innovation from new patent awards. In University City alone, we average 200 new patents per year. And then there's the growth in facilities that we've been seeing. Mentioned University City, there's a ton in the pipeline. Don't need to go into that, except it's ranked 4th nationally. Of all the 15 sub-markets, University City ranked 4th in the country, and the suburbs as well. Discovery Labs, what's happening in King of Prussia, Conshohocken. All of this land use growth for the life sciences is a very good sign for a city like Philadelphia that wasn't always growing its facilities and its land use in the life sciences. And of course, one of the key metrics is that demand is still so very high. We have a low vacancy, was mentioned before, about 5%. And when you think about some of our peers, San Francisco, Research Triangle, 5%, Boston, 3%. So we're really right behind the leading city in this space. And then finally, the venture capital story is so critical to this sector. According to Jones Lang LaSalle Research, Philly remains on track to see $1.2 billion this year, kind of a new high for us. We're only one of 5 markets, along with Boston, the Bay Area, San Diego, Greater New York, to exceed $1 billion in 2022, at least projected. It's a good trend. Actually, 3 of the last 4 years, we've exceeded $1 billion. So we are trending well. We know that this investment is attracted to innovation. Despite the ups and downs of markets, Philly remains innovative. Just recently, Penn spin out in cell and gene therapy attracted $33 million. A regenerative medicine company attracted $40 million in its Series A funding. So markets go up and down, but raising capital is possible in this market. And so we know investors can get conservative. They want to preserve liquidity. And so I go back to that question, what does Philadelphia want to be? How can it sustain and enhance this productivity and talent, this use of land and real estate and facilities, its attraction of capital? And that's what brings us to the panel today and our experts. So the next 45 minutes, we'll gain some new insights from them on these topics. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. If you want their full bios, it's in the program, but kind of name, title, company, the role that you play there. And then from there, we're going to get into the questions, if that makes sense. All right, so we'll go from there. We'll start here.
Hi, my name is Jessica Lee. I'm here in place of my CEO, Joan Lau, who was unable to attend today. I'm here for Spirevant Sciences. We are a gene therapy company. We're focused on pulmonary diseases, specifically cystic fibrosis. So for those of you who don't know cystic fibrosis, it is a rare disease, genetic disease, that affects 40,000 people in the United States and about 100,000 worldwide. It is a genetic lung disease that eventually leads to lung failure. But there are some treatments out there for a subset of individuals, not all. So our mission is to cure all people with cystic fibrosis And we are a company that's based in Philadelphia, right here in 36 M Market. We started with licensed the technology from University of Iowa and Children's Hospital at the University of Pennsylvania. We also received some initial funding from a number of investors, including some VC funding and a nonprofit organization called Emily's Entourage. And Emily's Entourage is a nonprofit organization that was established by Emily Kramer Golenkoff and her family for the mission of finding a cure for Emily's disease, because she is a person living with cystic fibrosis. And that's kind of the part of our mission is to help people living with cystic fibrosis to live a better life. We're just under 50 people, and we built our space right there on, like I said, on 36th and Market. And the interesting thing is we occupy about 7,500 square feet, and it's amazing what you can do with 7,500 square feet space in Philadelphia. But it is a challenge, right, for a growing organization. Most of it is occupied with laboratory space. So we are constantly evaluating our growth and what we need to do in order to be competitive, because space is an issue here in Philadelphia for us.
Great, thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Rose Mars-Iskanyan. I am substituting for Jim McGloon, who is the CEO of Vitera Biomedical. I am the General Counsel and Corporate Secretary for Vitera. You might have been present when Dr. Alan Flake spoke this morning. Our company was spun out of Children's Hospital in 2019 to commercialize Dr. Flake's Biopod, or its Extend system and device. Our mission is to transform the standard of care for extreme premature babies, and not only helping them to survive, but also to minimize the incidence of any of the comorbidities that are associated with preterm birth. My background is my background is in engineering, so it's always funny with medical devices. They're not born in the lab; they escape. And so we're taking Dr. Flake's prototype, and we're in the process of commercializing that. We are a unique platform or combination product because it's such a complex device. When I was a young engineer, I worked at Lockheed, so I worked on a lot of space programs, and I think this is the most complex technology that I've ever had a chance to work with. It has capital equipment, it has a pharmaceutical grade consumable for the synthetic amniotic fluid, consumables, and accessories. So that requires we have a different space needs. So we have our basic R&D space, our inventory space, we have laboratory space. We currently are in the B Labs, which is a great space, for innovation and growth. And also, of course, we have our office and administrative space. We have obtained, as Dr. Flake mentioned this morning, breakthrough designation for our device and system. We are in our preclinical stage, or pre-phase 1. We are hoping to quickly get our IDE and then go into our first-in-human and pivotal studies. Right now we're about 50 employees, which again we've doubled in growth, but it's really interesting. Like Jessica has mentioned, every year we kind of evaluate where we are and where we need to be. We have to think about what our growth needs are, being a young company, but also we are going to hopefully quickly grow and expand. So to be able to have the flexibility with space, you pay a premium for that. So again, a short-term lease versus a longer-term lease. So it has been very exciting. We do need to stay close to Children's Hospital because our preclinical and first-in-human studies and clinical studies will be conducted there. But it's a great area and a great incubator for the work that we're doing and the work that other companies are doing.
Thank you. Tia.
Hi, everyone. Dr. Tia Williams, founder and CEO of Lucas Pi Bio. Lucas Pi Bio is a contract drug manufacturer specifically for biologic drugs. We work in partnership with Thomas Jefferson University, Jefferson Institute for Bioprocessing, and we utilize their 30,000 square feet CGLP facility to manufacture our customers' products. So right now, we're able to service customers anywhere up from early stage all the way to preclinical studies, meaning we can manufacture your material to start testing in animals and having those pre-meetings with FDA or any other regulatory agency that you're sitting with to get your product commercialized in the global market. I myself, or before I get to that, we're a team of 12, and we also work in partnership with a company called Celtion, a proprietary cell line developer. We most recently just announced our location in the Philadelphia Business Journal to build a 80,000 square foot CGMP facility to start producing material for human clinical trials and the commercial market. And so that is in partnership with a commercial real estate developer, Urbane, and we'll be announcing our larger partner shortly. So it's a full life science park that we're building to anchor, I guess you'd say, residents of that property will be Lucas Pi Bio, my other company, Heliplex, that you just heard about earlier, and some affordable housing units and retail. I myself will be 22 years next month of working in the biopharma biotechnology industry. And so my whole goal, or our whole goal at Lucas Pi Bio, is really to target life science startups and small companies that are trying to get their pipeline products into the market and really work with them not just to manufacture that drug product, but we also assist our customers with regulatory strategy, understanding what investment needs they need at each stage of their preclinical development, as well as getting into clinical development when they start manufacturing for human clinical trials. And yes, if you don't understand that now, we are open for business. So all these startups in the audience that are in the middle of your preclinical studies or need to pivot or are initiating those studies, please go visit our website, or you can contact me personally here at this event. Thank you.
Thanks, Tia.
Good afternoon. My name's Karen Griffith Graga, and I'm Chief Operations Officer for Biomeme. Biomeme is a fully integrated molecular diagnostic solution headquartered and based here in Philadelphia. We have a solution that includes hardware, software, and molecular test diagnostics. The original vision of the founders was the power of a central lab in the palm of your hand. So we developed a 4-pound, fully mobile, gold standard PCR device and have built diagnostic test assays on top of that. The vision for the company is One Health. One Health meaning that human, animal, and environmental health are all interconnected. We do have tests that cross that spectrum, but our focus for the next couple of years is on human diagnostics, specifically in a next generation diagnostic framework called host response. So as Spark earlier talked about using gene therapy to cure genetic differences or defects, we use the body's gene expression to having a diagnostic target in your body. So today, diagnostics are based upon getting a good sample and measuring either the DNA or RNA in that sample. With host response, we're measuring the body's genetic response to that target being present in the body. So it opens up a tremendous number of targets or conditions for analysis that aren't capable today. Our first test is, we call it host response bacterial viral differentiation. It'll be able to tell you if you have a virus, a bacterial infection, a co-infection, or a non-infectious disease illness. The company was founded in 2012. They actually came here to Philadelphia to participate in a program I co-founded called Dream It Health, where we brought early stage healthcare companies together with payers, providers, and member of industry, as well as venture capital. I joined as COO in June of 2020. We were 35 people. We're now over 400 people in 6 cities. So it's been tremendous growth. When I first joined in June of 2020, we were in 7,000 square feet on 1015 Chestnut Street. We quickly expanded over 4 floors, and it was interesting trying to manufacture crossing 3 floors. Not the best approach. So we built about a 50,000 square foot new facility at 401 North Broad, and we moved in January.
Great, thank you. The way this will work is we'll do a question or two up here, and then we'll turn it over to you all in the audience for questions. And so one of the themes that two themes that I'm picking up here listening to this is complexity of technology, complexity of facilities, complexity of integrating knowledge, and growth. You're all telling stories about growth, whether that's longitudinally over time, in terms to commercialize opportunities with all of this. We obviously need talent, and there seems to be a race for talent across the country, especially in other markets, West Coast, East Coast. I'm curious how you go about recruiting people into Philadelphia. Is Philadelphia seen as a place where people want to work in the life sciences? Is it competitive? Are we doing well as a market that way? So why don't we start at the end and we'll come back this way.
Well, as I'm sure everyone in this audience knows, recruiting today is challenging. The expectations around positions and compensation and so forth has, ballooned dramatically over the past 2 years. We're able to use a couple of things. One, there is a different mix today of in-person work and remote work driven by the pandemic. So we are mostly an in-person company, but for certain positions where it makes sense, we're more comfortable with remote workers. We also find it imperative to get people excited about what we're doing, our vision, the impact that we can have. And for a lot of people, it's that impact that is really a driver. But recruiting today certainly takes patience. It takes a couple big gulps when you're looking at your budget sometimes. But we have relocated a number of people to Philadelphia.
That's great.
I think our new headquarters has helped. I mean, it's stunning. George Poulos from Strata is here. I think Gary from Tactics is here. I mean, that helps, right? When people hear the vision, see the beautiful facility, know where we're heading, that helps.
Excellent. Tia?
For us, with my team of 12 currently, we're obviously remote because we outsource and work with Jefferson Institute for Bioprocessing. But as we build this 80,000 square feet facility and get ready for the people that have to actually be on the shop floor, we are working in partnership with my other company, Heliplex, UC Science Center, see if I can remember everybody, IMSCO, and the Business Center. And then we have my friend and colleagues here at BioBuzz, and a couple of other people that we're working with. But the whole point is we're building a workforce development program for both entry level as well as people that are already involved in the biotech, biopharma industry. It is purposely targeted at members from marginalized communities on purpose. And so we'll be training them to become bioprocess operators as well as quality control technicians, all the way up to senior, mid to senior level management and C-suite. And then we have a portion over there for them to pop out to entrepreneurship if they plan to. We already have committed employers. So obviously Lucas Pi Bio is committed, but we also have Delaware State University, and we have our friends at Spark that we're still in negotiations with, Spark Therapeutics. So we're looking forward thinking towards the future and making sure that we have built this workforce here in Philadelphia. Oh, and our last partner, obviously, is Thomas Jefferson University. How can I forget them? But it consists of a 6-week boot camp program that we'll be working with Science Center on. They come in, and we have to make sure they can at least read and do math and know science at a 6th grade level. They have to test in and test out. The minimum requirement to get in that program is a GED or high school diploma. However, we do welcome folks with degrees. And our target market, or target age, I should say, is between 25 and 45. So we're really going after that workforce to come in at that shop floor level. And then the next program they go through is a 29-week classroom. These courses are taught by ISPE, ASQ, and RAPS. For those of you that may not know, these are industry trade organizations that are respected by Big Pharma. So when you come out with a course completion certificate or some type of certification, it's automatically known that you're capable of doing that type of work. After they finish that 29-week course, they go through a 7-week hands-on course at Jefferson, actually utilizing that bioprocessing equipment or lab equipment. For folks that are already involved in industry, everything is completely virtual, and those courses, again, are taught by ISPE, ASQ, and RAPS. It is a paid workforce development program, so they get paid that whole time through that 36 weeks. And when they graduate, we have those employers committed, so it's not a, I shouldn't say who you're going to get hired by or if you're going to get hired by. These employees are already committed and ready to receive the individual graduates from our program, and then there's an opportunity for them to come back and level up when they're ready to get to a higher level of role within those respective companies, or they may have to do like I did for most of my career, which is move around to get to that next level of my career.
I mean, if you hear what's going on from an economic development and workforce development story, it sounds a little bit like the way Philadelphia grew up as an industrial powerhouse, right? We were recruiting out of high school. Places like Baldwin Locomotive and Whitman's Chocolate were training people out of high school into the industrial economy. And that long, slow deindustrialization of Philadelphia, as it becomes a knowledge hub led by companies like this, we still have that same moral responsibility of training those who live here to work in this industry. So it's just a fascinating example. So thank you.
I echo what Karen said. It's been a very challenging, environment for attracting talent. Being a startup, you're competing not just with other regions, but you're also competing with big companies that have more benefits. So we employ a PEO to try to compete on the benefit side. Of course, there's equity for R&D, for our employees. Always looking for R&D folks, quality RA, QA RA, and software. So you're competing with other regions and other employers, but we feel our mission it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and has really tangible impacts. So that really attracts a lot of people. The one thing that was really interesting too, when we considered our space needs, we had factored in a lot of different places within the area, and the one thing that we decided to do was be in B Labs and be at Sierra Center, because people were coming out of the pandemic. They were getting used to working in person, and it is so easy, such a much easier commute for many people, and that was very attractive to our employees.
Thank you.
For us here at Spirevant, it's really about, making it more flexible for our employees to do the work they need to do. Obviously, laboratory personnel need to be on site, and we have the opportunities to draw from the academic institutions that are within a reasonable distance, and we do have great talent near to us. And then for those individuals who are not necessarily tied to the laboratories, we are a little bit more flexible, right? But it's more important for us so that we build collaborations. So for us, it's not a 9-to-5 job. We are more focused on how can we build our collaborations. So we encourage people to come in when they need to, not necessarily be in the office every day. So probably once a month, our leadership team gets together so that we can have these face-to-face meetings. I live outside of Philadelphia, and for the most of my career, I've been outside of Philadelphia. And I joined Spirevant that's in the city because I like the environment. I really enjoy the dynamic environment that we're in, right outside of, Market Street. When I walk outside, it's really, especially in the city when there's a lot of activity that's going on, you don't feel like you're going to a job. You feel very energetic when you're in the city, and I think that's part of it. When people come in and they interview, they feel that energy, they feel that excitement. I think that's part of the draw.
I've read somewhere that innovation needs an ecosystem. Okay, let's turn it to questions from the floor. So we'll do this through a show of hands, and if you can introduce yourself and where you're from, and a question for the panel. There's got to be one.
Everyone's hungry for lunch.
Yeah.
No questions?
Wait, I see one right over here. Yeah.
Hi. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Eric Pinchak with Cressa. It's very nice to meet you all. So I heard building out 50,000 square feet, 80,000 square feet, 9,000 square feet, taking some co-working space. Those are big, complex transactions that require a lot of resources. What were some challenges, frustrations, maybe surprises that you found throughout some of those experiences?
Well, we had some really good advisors. I mean, we built out the headquarters while we were also growing, 3,000%. So it was time. But, the lease is like a 200-page lease, right? So it's really about taking your time, understanding the complexities. We wanted to move fast, but we wanted to do it right. It's really about having the right advisors around you to navigate, and then having some patience at construction time, because there are always surprises. And we had a surprise. We were ready to move in November of 2021. And it's a tremendous amount of effort to move a manufacturing company, because you not only have the physical logistics of moving the manufacturing equipment, but then you have your, validations, the IQs, your PQs, your OQs. And we had something that delayed us by 3 months. So you just kind of have to breathe and roll with the punches.
And I would say with a 100 square foot renovation, that's just equally as challenging, right? Because you really have to maximize every square foot. And so the team that was in charge of our move really put their heart and soul and really thought through exactly how everything needed to be placed in terms of, what doors. We put in sliding doors instead of swing out doors so that we can maximize every single inch of space.
I echo that. I think personnel, having advisors, I'm a lawyer, but I'm not a real estate attorney. My background's in IP. So it was helpful to have deal with a realtor, a real estate attorney, deal with a broker who knows what's market, what you can ask for, what is pretty much the going standard. And on any type of landlord improvements or tenant improvements, having a good project manager to run that, to minimize disruption to any type of testing that you have in progress, or any type of thing that has to get out the door, I think is key.
For us, it's very unique at Lucas Pop Bio, so we had to be cognizant of future growth, including with our current customer base. We didn't have some of the same privileges as far as being able to retrofit, just because we're a startup, so we obviously don't have credit. And then there's obviously the equity piece that we keep talking about today, so that is a real thing for me. But on the actual physical space, what we had to think about is because we're manufacturing different types of biologic drugs. So it's monoclonal antibodies, it's gene vectors, it's viral vectors, it's cell therapy. Then you have different manufacturing, I guess you say, types, right? You have suspension, you have adherent, you have microbial, you have mammalian. All these things are regulated by FDA, had to be segregated a certain way. And the other thing that we had to think about is that when we, as we move our customers and transition them into manufacturing product for human clinical trials, once you do that and that is filed with the FDA, you cannot just readily move with your product, right? Once it's commercialized, our address is in the system, that's where it has to be manufactured. If as a CDMO we decide, God forbid that don't come, once the facility is built. But for some reason, we decide that we have to move out, then we have to work with each customer to figure out what that looks like from a financial standpoint, and more importantly, from an inventory standpoint to the patients. Unless that customer file multiple locations for their product to be manufactured with FDA or any other regulatory agency, they're kind of restricted to us. So we put them in a real bind if we have to literally stop manufacturing for any reason and move, or there's an interruption in that manufacturing as we're preparing to move certain parts of our facility out. So when just something to think about, but with us, real estate was very, very critical and integrated within our business model infrastructure.
And be creative, right? The two of us, we're basically the life science anchor tenant for 401 North Broad, which has, by the way, 122,000 square foot footprint per floor. So it gives lots of flexibility. But because we were the anchor tenant and you're putting together kind of a new partnership, it also gives you some flexibility in terms of expansion opportunities and terms and so forth.
That was a great question. Thank you. Time for one more question from the audience. If not, I'm going to float a softball. We got it over here. Yeah.
So Kathy Bruner with Acumen Analytics. I just wanted to kind of pull together a question for all that real estate space and square footage. It was mentioned about the training and the caliber of training and the types of training that are necessary to run these manufacturing facilities. And I think maybe from your perspectives, you know, one of the challenges is getting that education early in the career of the student and the variety of different students. So, you know, you're paying for education if you have to educate 25 through 45 and 50-year-olds, right? So how do we partner up with the education community to get that science and technology training and entrepreneurial thinking into the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade? The stats are staggering about the number of students that leave in 7th grade and don't follow a science or math path. So I'm just curious about your thoughts as you go forward.
Yeah, I'll take that first. As far as the trickle-down effect from, you know, K through 12 of high school, you have organizations like UC Science Center, eClose Institute, different things that Wistar and I know Fox Chase are doing. But the demographic between 25 and 45, and specifically speaking towards bioprocess operators and quality control technicians, what people don't realize is that you literally have to follow procedures, okay? So these things are written out almost like, you know, the example I like to use is a cookie recipe, or, you know, when my little cousin is studying, getting his master's at JIB, they had to put together an SOP for PB&J, and he didn't realize what PB&J was. He thought it was so scientific initially until he figured it out. But the point is, you follow these standardized operating procedures. You do everything in works of maybe 2, sometimes 3, all based on regulatory standards. So if they can read at a 6th grade level, do math on a calculator at a 6th grade level, and understand some of the scientific basics at a 6th grade level, everything from that point can be taught. Now, to go beyond that, you know, such as what they're doing at JIB to be a bioprocess engineer or R&D scientist, yes, you need to go to school for that. That's going to require a lot of skill. But to bring in folks from the local communities that have never been in contact with this stuff before, you know, that's why we're doing the 36-week curriculum, to really ingrain them in that curriculum and help them understand, and more importantly, give them the confidence to say, hey, you can do this too, right? If you can follow these instructions, do math on a calculator, and be able to work in a team-like environment. And of course, we'll give the wraparound stuff for things they may run into as far as being in a typical big pharma or bigger company setting. But if they can do those minimum things and focus on that work for 36 weeks, it's not going to be a problem getting this workforce up. And this has been done before. So when I worked at GSK, which was Human Genome Sciences in Rockville, Maryland at the time, we were one of the first big pharma companies to put together a boot camp for people in the local community to come in and be bioprocess operators. That's what it was totally focused on. So as you can see, this has been a problem for a while as far as the workforce development in manufacturing. But the point is, we had individuals that had no background. Some had college degrees, some didn't. If they did have college degrees, most of them was outside of science. But I went to, tell you a story, I went to an individual that was a security guard that I just spoke with every day, just passing by, going to meetings at the main building in Human Genome Sciences. And I said, hey, you should come through the boot camp program, try it out. Never done anything scientific. Today, that guy is a senior manager at Rockville, Maryland, Human Genome Sciences, or what is called GSK today. So I know for a fact that this can work. It's just that it is expensive. We are going to have to collaborate, and you are going to have private and public funds to get these programs off the ground.
We've done a similar thing. We manufacture, and it was important to us when we were looking for our new headquarters to stay in Philadelphia. And so we've actually, one of our sources, we've partnered with the Welcome Center, which is working with new immigrants to the country, as well as, just the broad Philadelphia workforce. And we bring them in and train them. And similar to your story, we've had a lot of internal promotions in our company of people that have been trained on the manufacturing line. They become a manufacturing lead. They transition into QC, receiving inspection. So it's a nice path that manufacturing companies are able to build for people.
And we've also, most of our staff is, again, our R&D engineers and software developers, and we've been very fortunate to have academic research institutions like Drexel. We have co-ops, we have interns every summer. I had a legal intern because there's 6 law schools in this area. And I think it's great to be able to have them come in, get the real world experience, and we learn from them, we benefit from them as well because they have a new perspective. So there's all these schools here, and I think it's part of being in Philadelphia is to use to give back by, educating the workforce too.
And just to note, I head up clinical research for my organization, and so this, lack of or limited resources in terms of experienced talent is not, limited to manufacturing. It's in all different areas. And what I've seen in my space is that clinical research organizations, CROs, are taking the initiative to train entry-level staff to learn the skills so that they can then bring them into the workforce. They actually have what they call CRA universities. So they train those entry-level individuals to then take on the responsibilities that we then outsource to them so that they can do the jobs because, as more and more clinical trials are being initiated in cell and gene therapy and other therapeutic areas, we need these experienced individuals.
All right, join me in thanking these 4 experts for the great work that they're doing.